This tutorial, I've already drafted my basic bodice pattern. So this basic bodice pattern I have here, I have it from the shoulder to the hip line. I also have the same for the back length, but I'm going to explain what I have here. So I want you to pay attention to what we are going to do for the front pattern. So here is the front piece of this pattern. And this is my shoulder, which is the starting point. This line is the chest line. This line is the bust point. This line is the under bust point. This line is your waistline. And this is the full length, because this is an inbuilt corset. It's an inbuilt corset. So it has a basque effect. So now, this is how you are going to go about the drafting. First, I'll be showing you how I got these lines. So I'm working with bust 34 inches. So to get your chest line, you are going to use your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5. For me, the bust circumference I'm working with is 34 inches. Divided by 6 plus 1.5 gave me 7 inches. So because of this shoulder drop of 1 inch, I added 1 to 7. That is how I got 8 inches as my chest line. My shoulder to bust point is 9 inches. The shoulder to under bust is 13 inches. Shoulder to waistline is 16 inches. Shoulder to hip line. Shoulder to hip line is 23. But how to get this full length? Once you get your shoulder to waistline, add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches to it. So whatever your waist is, just add 5 inches to have the full length of the corset. Like I said, it's an inbuilt corset. So the next measurement we want to take now is the vertical measurement, the horizontal measurement. So this is on the bust line, I'm going to take my bust circumference here. Here is my center front line. This line is center front. So like I said, my bust circumference is 34 inches. I'm making this dress for a smaller size. So 34 inches divided by 4, I have 8.5. So you can see my mark of 8.5 inches. Then I came to the waistline and I took my waist circumference divided by 4. The waist I'm working with is 28 inches. Divided by 4 is 7 inches. So you can see my line of 7 inches. But because I have 1.5 inch of that, I added it, I replaced it here. So that is 1.5 inch of my dart. So that is my dart replacement, this line. Alright, so you can ignore this line. You can ignore it. That was the line I made before I added or replaced my dart. Now I'm working with hip 40 inches. So I place my tape here and measure hip. 40 inches is divided by 4 is 10. That is how I got my 10 inches. So I believe you understand how I got all of these parameters. So now my armhole, I found the mid armhole from the shoulder drop to the chest line is 7. The middle is 3.5, and from that middle I came in by 0.75, and then I drew my line from this point to this point, and I used my pattern ruler to create the curve of my armhole. So that is that for the dress. So now the length I have here, if you remember, the full length of this dress is 21 inches. So the dart intake here is 1.5. My bust dart here is 1.5. So that means that the difference I will have in the back, this is the back and this is the front. So the difference I have between here, this line and this line, is 1.5. I believe you understand. So the back will be shorter by 1.5 because of the bust dart technique. So if you are using the bust dart technique, you are going to make this shorter than this. So you can see my back length is actually shorter by 1.5. So now my bust span is 7. Divide by 2 because I'm working on half of the bodies in the front. So divide by 2 is 3.5. That is how I marked. On the waist, I marked 3.5. On the full length, I marked 3.5. And I draw this dot line. This dot line. I drew it all the way to the bust point. So I shared my 1.5 dot into 3/4 and 3/4 and connected my dots to the bust point and to the full length. So that is how we got that. So the bust dart, of course, you know, from the bust point, you just come down by that 1.5, which is the bust dart back and front length difference, 1.5. Then get the midpoint and connect your bust dart. So this is my bust dart. So I came out a little bit by 0.75 there. And I went this way and connected the rest to the chest line. I believe this is familiar to many of us watching this tutorial. Alright, so after that, the neckline, the natural neckline from the center front is 3 inches. So you can see I marked my 3 inches. So from these 3 inches, my shoulder is 14. Divide by 2 is 7 inches. So that is how I got 7 inches as my shoulder. So I now drop my shoulder. So the first thing you are going to do is to place your tape and get the midpoint. I'm placing my tape from that point. Get the midpoint. So once you have gotten your midpoint, go ahead and connect it like this. The second step you are going to take is to place your tape on the shoulder and come down by 6 inches. So 6 inches is standard. 6 inches is standard. That is the neckline for most yoke. Of course, we have a yoke on this dress, as you can see. So after that, just come in from this line that crosses this line. Go in, go out by 0.75 and go out by 0.75. So your dart intake here is 1.5. So after that is done, come in with your ruler and place it from the bust point to the 1.5. Repeat the same exercise here. You can see what I have now. So the next we are going to do is to determine the point of this yoke line. So this yoke line is actually deep. I'm going to connect it to the bust points. Okay, some people even connect up to the under bust. It depends on what you want. So but this tutorial, I'm going to connect from this line to the bust point like this. So I'll just go ahead and place my ruler like this and connect to the bust point. So you can see the yoke line. Then I'll place my ruler like this again, and I'm going to blend this. I'm using the inner part of my curve ruler. I'm going to blend this into this like this, so you can see what I have. So now it will be good for us to identify or to mark out the neckline you want to use. So for me, I'll be using my neckline here. I can use 3.5 by 3.5. Okay, 3.5 by 3.5. So on this point, you can place your tape. This is 3.5. You can still tilt it like this, so you'll be able to get a rounded neckline. So if I do that, I'll just freehand it to make my rounded neckline. So here is my neckline. So if you feel that the 3.5 is too much because this is a small size, you can still do 3 inches. So neckline is by choice. So if you feel 3.5, because this is a yoke line, we are going to use our mesh for this yoke. So I will advise you do 3. Okay, 3 inches instead of 3.5, because what I'm seeing here is actually wide, so it's not too wide. But if you want it this way, no problem, it's still okay. So after that, we will now come over to the under bust. The under bust circumference I'm working with here is 28. Divide by 4 is 7 inches. I'll place my tape on the center front on the under bust line. Measure 7 inches. So already we have that 7 inches here. So what we have left remaining here is not too much, because this is a really small size. So I have about 1 inch remaining. So I'm going to share from here to here. I'll add 0.25 from here to here, 0.25, and from here to here 0.75. That is making it the 1 inch measurement we took from here. So I'll just go ahead and blend my ruler. We are trying to mark out our busts, our cup, our corset cup. So place your tape like this, your pattern ruler like this, and mark. So after I'm done marking that, next I'm going to do is to pick up my under bust, or so now coming over to the completion of this, I'll just go ahead and place my pattern ruler like this. So just place your pattern ruler from here to that point this way. So, but before you do that, just come out from this under bust point on the center front. Just make sure your pattern ruler touches at 1.25. So you just go ahead and connect, place it on that. Just keep shifting it till you have that touch at 1.25. Can you see? Then after that, we are going to connect this. Just go ahead and connect this. Connect it. You can just sit it up like this. You can sit it up like this and connect it to the side. Let it touch the side like this. So this is cup 1 and this is cup 2. Alright, so after that, the next you are going to do, you are going to come on the side of this corset and come up by 1 inch. Just mark 1 inch and then blend your pattern ruler. You can see how I placed my pattern ruler. Like I said, it's an inbuilt corset. Now for the cup area, we can decide to just leave this area like this. Of course, we are going to leave it the way it is, but then I'm going to cut from here to this dart and cut from here to this dart. Okay, then we are going to of course I'll show you how to go about this other area. So we are done with the front right now. So we are going to cut what we have on the front before we go back to the back. But I want you to take note that on this back piece, this is back and this is front. You can see the difference is 1.5. So whatever your bust dart difference is here, that is what will make the back and front shorter if you are using the bust dart technique. So I'm going to cut this pattern right now. Come to the neckline and cut out the neckline. Second, I'll come to the center front line and cut out my center front line. Then I'll come to the full length of this dress and I'll cut it through the curve, as you can see. Thirdly, I'll come on the side of this dress like this and I'll go through the bust dart. Let me just separate back and front so we can continue our cutting. So after that, I'll come into the armhole because this dress has a sleeve and I'm going to cut out the armhole where we have the sleeve. Then I'll cut out the shoulder seam line so you can see what we have now. So the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out the cup so we can separate the yoke. So to do that, just first open the bust dart part. Okay, so here we are going to seal it up here. So but before I do that, I'm also going to go here. Can you see how I'm cutting my yoke? So just cut out your yoke like this. Can you see that? I cut out my yoke. Next, I'll start cutting out the cups part by part. So I'll first cut out this and cut out this. Can you see that? So cup 2 is ready now. Then cup 1, I'm going to first seal my buzz dart. So just go ahead and tape the buzz dart area. So here is my buzz dart area. So you have to close your buzz dart first. Once you close your buzz dart, you can now go ahead and recreate this line. Okay, you can see there's a little shift on that line. So just go ahead and do what? Place your ruler again and recreate this part like this. So after that, you will now go ahead and follow the line you recreated. Then come in from here. Just look at how I'm cutting the lines, and you cut from here. Can you see? The cup is ready. This is the corset cup now. It's very much ready. So next is to talk about what we have on this line. So on this particular line, we are going to first open up here. I'll open up this line and I'll do what? I'll fold it from here to match it up with what I have here. Can you see that? So just match it up with what you have at this point. Can you see? So in other words, I'll just go ahead and cut off what I have here, like this, and then cut out these darts. You can see the continuation. This is it. Can you see? We cut out. Okay, this is the continuation. Sorry about that. That is the continuation. So please don't miss this part. It has to continue like this. Okay. So, all right. So I want you to note that this is the part we cut out the cup from. So just go ahead and place your pattern ruler like this and blend it off. Place it to this part and just blend it up. You can see I'm placing it to the end of the. So blend it up and cut out this. So once you cut out this, just go ahead and apply your adhesive on that part you blended up and close it up too. So I'll just close it up like this. Can you see? So that makes it very much easy. All right. So after that is done, you can now go ahead and trim off these unusual excesses. Okay. All right, then you can also blend this into this. Okay, so now you have to also make sure that your measurements on the waistline is accurate. So on the waistline, you remember my waist was 28 divided by 6 by 4 is 7, so it's accurate. And what we have on the hemline is 10. Okay, so although it's going on a curvy area, so it's also accurate. So this is the front pattern corset, and this is the yoke attached to it. So this is the pattern, and I'll be showing you how to. I'll be dropping the link on the description box below on how to cut and sew this. So here is the center front area, and it's going to be on fold, and here is the center front area for the yoke, which is also going to be on fold. So your pattern should be like this at the end of the day for this particular corset. So we'll now move over to the back piece. Back to the back. So coming over to the back, we'll still have the back. This is the shoulder line for the back, and this is the chest line for the back too. This is my waist, and this is the full length, which I told you is 1.5 inch shorter than the front. So here is, we are going to have an illusion back. Sorry, we are going to have a corset back. So here I have my bust divide by 4, waist divide by 4, and my hip divide by 4. So the next thing I will do is to use my, what I have on my hip divide by 4. So my waist divide by 4, sorry, is 7 inches. So I mark the 7 inches. So I want to create the dart for it. So I'll just get the midpoint. And the midpoint is 3.5. So I'll just go in here and mark 3.5. You can also use your bust span measurement. So I'll mark 3.5. So here you can see I added 1 inch because the dart for the back is 1 inch. So just go ahead and mark this line from here to here. Just come down by 1 inch on the chest line. Then impute your darts. This time around the dart is ½ inch, ½ an inch. So this ½ an inch, ½ an inch, go ahead and mark it this way, that way, this way, and that way. So we have our dart. Now we want to create the corset back for this dress. So for the corset back, it depends on how big you want it to open. So for this dress, I will make it open at 1 inch. It's going to be 1 inch, 1 inch opening at the down piece like this. So then you mark the 1 inch line. So this is where we are going to have our eyelets, or whatever you want to work with. If you are working with eyelets or you are working with loops, this is where you are going to attach it. So after that, you come up by 1 inch, just like we did at the back. I'll come up by 1 inch. So for that 1 inch, I'll just go ahead and blend it up this way. So after blending it, we are going to construct the neckline. So remember that the neckline width we used for the back was 3.5. So I will also mark 3.5 for the back, because 3.5 we use for the front. Then I'm going to connect this 3.5. Just go ahead and connect it to the back. That is if you want to use this kind of back. Then if you want to use, we have so many kinds of back that you can use for this. I will show you as many as possible. Then you can go with the one you like. So this is the first one. This is our yoke. The first one you connect from here to here, if that is what you want, and you have your back lacing. But if you don't want that, 3.5 inch is the width of the neckline. You can come down by 1 inch on the center back. So if you come down by 1 inch, go ahead and do what? And connect that neckline from that 1 inch to 3.5 like this. So if you have connected it like that, the next you will do is to come down a little bit by ½ an inch. Then we can use your pattern ruler like this. You can connect it. Okay, let me use this part of the ruler. Just connect it from here and make like a keyhole at the back. So you have a button on this part, as you can see. So if you want, you can go with this neckline. So if you are cutting, you are going to cut like this. But if you want to go with the V neckline, you can cut like this. So whichever way is good, fine and good for this dress. So now I'm going to cut the back because the back is ready. And another thing I did here, another thing you will do here is to extend your dart up to this point. So when we are cutting on this line, we will have here as back 1 and back 2. So this line is going to be your boning line. So I'm going to cut it now right away. I'm going to use this. I'll cut from here. If I'm going to use this, I'll cut from here. So this is what you have if you are using this kind of neckline. But if you are using this, just go ahead and cut off this. Then you now go here and cut this off like this. So this is what we have, as you can see. Can you see that? So this becomes the pattern for the back. And we are done with the drafting of the upper bodies corsets. We are done with the upper bodies and we want to start up the skirt part of it. For inbuilt corset, you have the upper and the skirt part of it. So I will be using this line as my under bust line. Okay, the reason I'm using this as my under bust line is because this basque started from the under bust down to that 21 inches. So when we'll be cutting it on the body after sewing the dress, we are going to cut it all the way from the under bust to the waist line, to the 21 inches line. So now I'm going to place my tape on 13 inches because my under bust is 13. So whatever your under bust is, place it at 13 inches. Place it at that under bust line. So if your under bust is 14, move your 14 inches. If it's 15, move your 15 inches. But since I'm working with 13, I will move my 13 inches. Then from that 13 inches, I'm going to take the measurement of my hip line. My hip line is 23 inches. And I'm going to take the measurement of my full length. The full length of this gown is at 62 inches. So I'm using the whole of this. Then from that 23 inches, my knee length is 40. So I'm going to mark 40 here. So to make a straight line, I'll place 13 again here and mark 23 inches, which is my hip. Mark 40 and mark 62 inches. So I just go ahead and do what? And mark out all of this. So I just go ahead and do this. And do this. Okay. All right. So after that, this is the under bust, this is the hip, this is the knee, and this is the full length. So now the first thing you are going to do is to come from your hip and come up by 2 inches. We call this the upper hip. Come up by 2 inches, and that 2 inches you are going to do what? Create your mark. After creating your mark, you come to the knee and come up by 4 inches. So this is the knee that we are using for this mermaid skirt. So I'll just do this, draw my line. So this becomes my new knee line for this connection. Then cancel this one. We are no longer making use of it. So after that, you come over to the under bust area. So whatever your under bust circumference is, divided by 4. Mine is 28 divided by 4, gave me 7 inches. I'll mark. I'll come on my hip. My hip circumference is, the hip I'm using is 40 divided by 4, gave me 10 inches. I'll also mark the 10 inches here. So you are going to connect this line like this. And with your pattern ruler, you are going to connect from here to here like this. Now, you are going to take the measurement of what you have here. Whatever you have, this is your center front. Whatever you have from here, 10, remove 2 inches from it. So on the knee, 10 minus 2 will give me 8. So I'll mark my 8 inches. And I'll come in with my ruler like this and place it from the knee to the hip like this. So next, I'm going to come over to the down part of this. On the down piece, we are going to measure what you have on the knee. On the knee, I have 8. You come to the down part from this line, which is the center front line. Measure 8 inches. This is our 8 inches. Add another 8 inches to it. Okay? So you can add 8 inches, you can add 10 inches, depending on how big you want it to flow. But for me, I'm using 8 inches. So everything will give me 16. So you can see I have to connect my line from that knee, and I connect it all the way to the 8 inches. So let me just do 9 inches from here, 9 inches. So it flows very well for us. After that, on this down part, come up by 1.5 inch. And with your ruler like this, you are going to blend that part like this. Can you see that? So that is it, and we are done with the drafting of the front skirt. So this front skirt, I'm going to cut it out now, and we'll be using what we have on the front skirt to draft the back skirt. So you can see how it is now. I'm going to cut. So when you are cutting this on fabric, don't forget to add your seam allowance. Okay, so just add your seam allowance of 1 inch or 1.5 inch to be at the safer side. So there's no dart also. Please, there's no dart. This is an inbuilt corset skirt drafting, and we are going to attach it as a gown. But first, we are going to sew the skirt and the corset differently. Then I'll be dropping on the link description box below how to attach and cut out the basque. Okay, so how to sew the up and down together after cutting it and cut out the basque. So just hit on the description box below, click on the link, you will see how I attached it. So this is our pattern. Like I said, here is the under bust. So when we'll be wearing this skirt, we are going to wear it up to the under bust point, and then we are going to cut it out on the body to the 21 inches length. So what I will do is, when I wear it on the under bust point, when you wear it on the body of your client, so this is my 21 inches. So let me place my tape here. This is my 21 inches. I can come up, because that is where the corset is at 21. So just come up by 1.5, which is at 19.5 or maybe 20 inches. So on the body, you'll be using your scissors and cut the sharp basque. So this is how the sharp basque is going to be. So we are not going to cut it on this directly, okay? We are not going to cut on the, unless your client is not available. So if your client is not available, you can cut this from here and attach it to the corset. So but whichever way, click on the link on the description box below. You are going to see how I created an inverted basque similar to this, okay? So now we'll use this pattern to cut out the back. Here is the front, and we are going to cut out the back now. So coming over to the back, the first thing you are going to do is to ensure that your pepper, you have joined your cardboard paper. Okay, so if you are using a cardboard paper, it has to be that long. So you can see me, I've joined my pepper very, very long. So after doing that, next is to make sure that from the edge of your paper, you mark out 3 inches. You can see I mark out 3 inches. And I ruled a straight line from this part, and I have my border line at 1 inch. So that is the first thing you are going to do. So after that, next you are going to do is to bring back your pattern. So this is the front pattern that we cut. Remember, here is the center front and here is our center back. So just go ahead and place your pattern like this. Can you see? Make sure you place it like this. So when you place it this way, so place it this way, here you extend the line, which is the under bust line. Here is the hip line. So just keep extending the lines. This is the knee line, you extend it, and this is the full length. You also extend that full length. So now we'll still place the pattern. You still place it on top of it like this, and we are going to create our zip allowances. So we are going to create our zip allowance. So here I'm using 1 inch for my zip allowance. So my zip allowance is 1 inch. So I'll just go ahead and mark 1 inch. I'll mark 1 inch. So after marking your 1 inch, you go ahead and do what? And mark it like this. That is your zipper allowance. So this is zipper allowance that we have now. We are going to connect it to, from that point, just go ahead and connect it straight. You can see how I place my ruler from here. Connect that zipper allowance here. Can you see that? To the waist, to the under bust line. Then flip your ruler this way and connect it straight to the, like this, to nothing. Okay, to the knee line. So this space you have here will be your zipper allowance. So when you will be sewing your zip, you are going to mark 1 inch inwards, 1 inch inwards. Okay, so you have your zipper allowance, so don't add any zipper allowance again on the fabric. But when you are going to sew this skirt, you are going to sew, if you look at the hip line, we have complete 1 inch. But because we contour this part, that is why you see it's nothing is here. So you will just take off 1 inch from your back. Okay, and this will come all the way to this point as well. So now so after that, you can use the cello tape to hold this down. Okay, so you can go ahead and use the cello tape to hold the front pattern down. So after marking out this part, the next we are going to do, still having the front exactly at the line, so just use your seal tape, your cello tape, and hold it. Can you see? So here is the center front and this line is the center back where we'll have our zipper. So the next you do is to start tracing. You start tracing your pattern, you start tracing it like this. So the side that does not have a zipper does not have an allowance. So when you are cutting on your fabric, you add allowance on this side. The only part you will not add is the zipper, because we've added it here already. So once you get here, make sure here is still at the center, and you now do what? Mark out the whole of this like this, and you just create a little mark like that. So after you have marked that part out, next is to this knee line. We are going to extend the line. So to extend that line, I'm going to add pepper. I'm going to add my pepper from here, from that hip line. I'll add my pepper. So just add a pepper. I will use my adhesive to add the pepper. So I'll just go ahead and touch it this way. And add the pepper below it like this, from that point to the end. So I've added my pepper now. Okay, so I'm going to make my extension from the knee line. So you have to also make sure that you have your front pattern on the center back up to this point. So on the hem line, I'm going to extend this to my pepper line. So remember that we took, on that side, we took 8 inches. So I later took 9 inches. So whatever you take there, 8 or 9, mark it again at that point. So from this 8 or 9 inches I took, I'm going to come down from there. It depends on how much you want the train to flow. So let us do 8 inches here too. I will do 8 inches here. So this is my 8 inches. You mark a line like that. So remember that we still have this pattern here. Can you see? So the first thing we are going to do is to connect from the hip. From this hip, tilt your ruler towards this line to make the back extension. So the back extension, you are going to make it all the way to touch this point. So we are actually supposed to take it from here. Okay, we are actually supposed to take it from here, or you can just take it straight to this line and connect it at this point. It's still okay that way. So after that, next you now come from here. Okay, I'm coming from here. I'll just slant the tail to meet up with what we have here. Can you see? So this is the mermaid skirt part of it, the tail part of it. I believe you understand. So now I can take off my pattern, because we are done with the pattern drafting. So you can see how long the tail part of this dress looks like. Can you see? So this is how long it looks like. So I'm going to cut it out right now on the underbust line. I will cut on the side of the skirt. So once I get to the knee line, I'm going to cut from there to the length of the skirt like this, and from here I'll follow that train up to this point like this. Then I'll come back from here. I'm going to follow my zipper allowance. So like I said, we've added zipper allowance. Please don't add another allowance. It's only on the side you are going to add. So I'll just go ahead and cut this all the way. So here is our back. I'm really liking this train. So it looks so beautiful and gorgeous. So here is also the under bust area, the under bust. Okay, so for the back, we are going to make the back a little bit. This is what you are going to do before you sew the back. Note that this is the under bust. Here is the under bust. So you are going to locate your waist line. So I'll just come here, place my tape on the under bust and mark my waistline at 16. So I'm going to use my ruler and I'll do like, I'll use my cuff part of the ruler. This is what you are going to do. Can you see that? That is what you are going to do at the back. So once you are done doing that, go ahead and do what? Cut it out. So this one we are cutting it out here on the fabric because we will be attaching the zipper. So this part is going to have this curve at this point, so that when we will be sewing the front piece, this is the front piece. So like I said, if your client is not around, go ahead and cut out this basque on the dress, on the pattern, before you cut on your fabric, so that it will be easy for you to attach it on the corset itself. So here is the skirt. So when we are going to sew it, you are going to sew it this way. Can you see that? We are going to attach it this way, and this is how the back will look like. So after you are done cutting the front, this is how the front will look like. So our pattern is ready, and you can see the train part of it. So this is the train part of it, looking lovely and beautiful. So this is how we come to the end of this tutorial, and I believe this class was helpful to you. So I'll be showing you the full view of what we have right here. How your pattern for the skirt piece is going to look like. So you can see the back and you can see the front. Okay, so this is actually looking beautiful. So can you see the zipper allowance? Like I said, don't add any zipper allowance anymore. All you need to add is only the side allowance of 1 inch. And this piece for the back, you are going to cut 2 pieces of it because it's a man-made gown. Here is the front. You can see the front. So like I said, you can also cut out the basque if you want. You can cut it out and attach it on the corset after sewing the corset. So I believe this class was helpful to you, and this is how we come to the end of this tutorial. So all you are going to do is to hit the link on the description box below. Just click on the link. You are going to see how this is attached. Okay, I have a detailed video on how to sew an inbuilt corset. So this particular inbuilt corset is different because it's from the under bust. So after sewing your complete skirt and your complete corset, just go ahead and wear the corset on top. Of course, you are going to see it when you click on the link. Okay, then you can now create your basque as you want, and then you go ahead and finish up your embellishments as you desire. So thank you for coming, and see you in the next class. Bye.